So I'll be sharing my screen now. Can you see the screen? Hello, can you see the screen? Okay, okay. So do you remember where we stopped last class? The only 41 have joined. Please tell others to join fast. I'll be taking the screenshot, okay? So, do you remember where we stopped last class? Anyone? Where did you stop writing in the last class? Which topic did we cover last class? Yes, we were trying to prove the validity of arguments using certain rules, isn't it? Using the rules of inference. And I said there are around 12 rules of inference and two basic rules. The two basic rules were rule P and rule T. And it is based on rule P and T that we start proving the arguments. And this rule P and T can be applied anywhere during the derivation process, during the proof process, while you are trying to prove the arguments. And then, along with the rules of inference, we can use these two basic rules also. Then, there are around 12 rules of inference, out of which I think we had covered three rules. Can you say which are the rules that we had covered? Can you say the rules that we had covered? Sriraj, what was the first rule? What was the first rule? Sriraj. Hello. Okay, modus ponens. What is modus ponens, or it is also called the rule of detachment? So, what is this rule? How can you express it in logical implication form? How will you express it in logical implication form? What is modus ponens? See, I'm going just quickly through this. If I start again from the previous one, I won't finish it. So, according to modus ponens, P and P implies Q, and this is modus ponens in logical implication form. This is logical implication form. Okay, this is in logical implication form. Now, when we this the same rule can be expressed in tabular form also. In tabular form, when we represent, this is one argument, this is the next argument, and this is the conclusion. Okay, this is P1, then and this is P2 implies C. This is of this arguments are always of this form. So when we write in table form, just write the first argument P1 first. P1 here is P, the next P2 here is P implies Q, and draw a line and below put therefore, and then write the conclusion. Here C conclusion C is Q. So this is modus Ponens. Okay, this is modus ponens, the first rule. Is it clear? Is it clear to you? Did you understand modus ponens? I think you had written it down, isn't it? Okay, okay. Now, let us go to the next rule. What was the next rule? What was the next rule? What was the second rule? Anyone? Second was law of syllogism. Law of syllogism. Or it is also called hypothetical syllogism. Isn't it? Hypothetical syllogism. Law of syllogism or hypothetical syllogism. Now, what is this rule? In logical implication form, we can express this rule as P implies Q and Q implies R. The whole thing implies P implies R. Okay, this is in logical implication form. This is the law of syllogism. Just like if A greater than B and B greater than C, then A greater than C. It is of this form. Logical syllogism or law of syllogism or hypothetical syllogism. That is P implies Q. If P implies Q and Q implies R, then it implies P implies R. Now, if you are writing, this form is logical implication form. Writing the formula in logical implication form. Okay, then another form in which we can write the formula is tabular form. Okay, the next way in which you can represent this formula is in tabular form. And in tabular form, you can represent this as the first one, P implies Q. This is P1 and P2 implies Q form. So this is our argument form. Here P1 is P1 is P implies Q, P2 is Q implies R, and a conclusion. This is our conclusion, and that is P implies R. So in tabular form, you have to write the arguments first. The first argument P1 is P implies Q, second argument P2 is Q implies R, and then draw a line, put therefore symbol, and write the conclusion. Here the conclusion is P implies R. So this is the law of syllogism or hypothetical syllogism. So my time is getting wasted since I hope you might have referred to all this. Then next one. Then I think we had done one example there to prove that one argument is true. And then next we had discussed another rule, the third rule, and that is modus tollens. What is modus tollens? What is modus tollens? What is modus tollens? Anyone? I think you had written it down. What is modus tollens? Ashwati, what is modus tollens? Devika? They'll be marking absent for those who are not responding. So anyway, modus tollens, according to modus tollens, according to this rule of inference, you can write it in implication form as P implies Q, and if P implies Q and not Q, the entire thing implies not P. You have to by heart all these formulas. There is no other way to study. You have to by heart all these formulas. So this is in logical implication form. In tabular form, we can express it as this is our first argument P1. Anything separated by this and will be our argument P1. So next, this is P2, and this is our conclusion C. So in tabular form, it is of the form P1, P2, draw a line, therefore C. This is the tabular form. This is how you write in tabular form. So when we are writing this particular formula in tabular form, you get P implies Q, that is P1, then P2 is not Q, then draw a line, then we get the conclusion is not P. Okay, this is modus tollens. I think we had stopped here. And then I think we had to do one example, isn't it? We started doing one example, isn't it? Did you write down that example? Did you write down that example? What is the question? Consider the following argument. Did we solve it? Consider the following argument. One minute, okay. So did you write down this question last class? Hello? Did you write down that question? This example? Okay, did we solve it? Did we solve that question? Ashwin, did you solve that question? Hello? No, okay, okay. So let us see what it is. So the question was, consider the following arguments for the primitive statements. Consider the following arguments for the primitive statements P, R, S, T, and U, isn't it? And the primitive statements given are P implies R, this is our first argument. Then R implies S, this is the second argument. Then T or not S, this is the third argument. Not T or U is the fourth argument. And not U is the fifth argument. And the conclusion is, therefore, not P. So this is in tabular form. I had written it in tabular form. So to prove this argument, that is, these are arguments. This is P1, our first argument. This is P2, second argument. This is P3, our third argument. This is P4, our fourth argument. And this is P5, our fifth argument. Or these arguments, we call it as premises also, isn't it? Premise 1, premise 2, etc. Okay, we call it as premise. So in our proof, we refer to each of these arguments as our premises. This is premise 1, this is premise 2, premise 3, premise 4, and premise 5. So all these premises, the conjunction of all these premises, that is P1 and P2 and P3 and P4 and P5 implies this conclusion. This is C. It implies C. Okay, this the one written below the line is our conclusion. So we have to prove this. So either you can draw a truth table as we had did earlier by taking the conjunction, and then we know the truth values of implication and conjunction, isn't it? But to draw the truth table of such a big argument, it is very difficult. That is why we are going to prove using the rules that we had studied. So let us see how we can prove it. Okay. Is it clear? Is it clear to you? Did you write down the question? Hello. Did you write down the question? Okay. Now let us start our process. Let us start our proof procedure. Okay. So after that, hope you had written the tabular form. After writing the tabular form, you write steps, and then in one column and next side you have to write reason. Okay. Steps and reason. We are going to prove this. We are going to prove that from these statements, we are going to prove that from these statements, these four statements, we will get not P. So starting from these premises, taking these premises and applying the rules, we should get finally this not P. That is what we are going to prove now. So in our first step, step 1, I'm going to take the first two premises, and that is P implies R, and the second premise is R implies S. We have the basic rule stating that we can introduce a premise at any step. Any premise can be taken at any step. So I am taking the first two premises. If you have a better idea, then you can go for other premises also. But here, since my method of proof is starting with the first two premises, so I had taken the two premises, P implies R and R implies S, and the reason is quite that it is a premise. Because if the premise is given, I had taken it as a premise. So it is already given. They are the given premises. We can take any premise at any step. Now, second step, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take from these two premises, that is P implies R and R implies S, which rule can be applied here? To these two premises, we had two premises, P implies R and R implies S. Which rule can be applied in this premise? Which rule can be applied to this premise? Can you say which rule can be applied to that premise? P implies R, R implies S, then it implies? Which rule can be applied there? We had studied three rules: modus ponens, law of syllogism, modus tollens. Out of these three, which rule can you apply to that step? Very good, Anurag. Law of syllogism. So according to law of syllogism, what will we get here? P implies R and R implies S. Finally, by applying law of syllogism, what will we get? What will we get? If P implies R and R implies S, then finally P implies S. Very good, very good. So in the next step, we will get P implies S. So you have to write the reason here. That is from step 1, applying step 1 and law of syllogism. You have to write the step number and the law that you had applied. So from step 1, you applied the law of syllogism and you got the second step. So the reason for getting the second step should be written here. From step 1, you applied law of syllogism to get P implies S. Hope this much is clear to you. Now, we have to prove our conclusion is not P. We have to reach not P. This is our conclusion. Okay, this is our conclusion. At the end of the proof, I should get the last step as not P. So now, let us move on to the third step. In the third step, I am going to take the next two premises. The next premise, that is T implies not S. Because the reason is it is a premise. The premise is given. There is no other reason for taking it as a premise. Then in the fourth step, I'm going to convert this. Okay. Sorry, the third premise was T or not S, isn't it? Is it T implies S? The third premise given is T or not S, isn't it? What is the third premise given? T or not S. Okay. Is it clear? Did you understand that? The third premise is T or not S. Okay. It is not T implies nor not S, it is T or not S. So, so that is a premise. And in the next step, what I'm going to do is, to this step 3, I'm going to apply law of conjunction. Commutative law. What is commutative law? What is commutative law? I'm going to apply commutative law to the third step. What is commutative law? We had studied earlier in law of logic. What is commutative law? A or B is the same as B or A. That is commutative law, isn't it? I'm not getting any response. If I'm waiting for your response, I won't get time, okay? So this is not S or T because A or B is the same as B or A. So I had I had taken step 3 and applied commutative law. Commutative law. I took step 3, applied commutative law, and I got step 4. That is T or not S is the same as not S or T. Then, in the fifth step, I'm going to convert this formula. This is a not A or B form, that is S implies T form. S implies T is the same as not S or T. Isn't it? A implies B, P implies Q is equivalent to not P or Q. So this is not P or Q form. So I had written as P implies Q form. Here instead of P and Q, it is S and T. So not S or T is the same as S implies T. So S implies T is same as not S or T. So that is the reason is that I have applied step 4 and the fact that and fact that not S or T is logically equivalent to S implies T. Okay. Then next in my sixth step, I'm going to take step 2 and step 5. The step 2 from step 2 and step 5. From step 2 and step 5, which law can you apply? Step 2 and step 5. Which law can you apply to step 2 and step 5? P implies S, S implies T. So which law can you apply? P implies S, S implies T. Then which law can you apply there? Very good, Anurag. Law of syllogism. What will you get by applying law of syllogism? What will you get by applying law of syllogism? From step 2 and 5, when I apply the law of syllogism, step 2 is P implies S, isn't it? So step 2 is P implies S, 5 is S implies T. So what is the final result? P implies T. Okay, very good. You get? In the sixth step, you will get P implies T. P implies S, S implies T, then P implies T. Step 2 and 5 and law of syllogism. Okay, then in the seventh step, what I'm going to do is, I'm going to take the fourth premise and that is not T or U. Okay, not T or U. And this is premise. This is a given premise. Okay, not T or U is a given premise. And then in the eighth step, I'm again converting it to this form, this here, which we had applied in step 4 and 5. Not S or T changes to S implies T. Likewise, not T or U changes to T implies U. Okay, T implies U. So the reason for T implies U is just you have step 7 and the fact that not T or U is logically equivalent to T implies U. Okay. Is it clear? Now from step 6 and step 8, what you can conclude from step 6? From step 6 and step 8, what can you conclude? From step 6 and step 8, P implies T, T implies U, then if P implies T and T implies U, then if P implies T and T implies U, which law can be applied? P implies U, which law? Yes, Agarsh, which law? Which law did you apply there? What is the name of the law? You have to write it by the side. You have to write the reason. What is the reason? Law of syllogism. Very good, Zahala. Very good. Law of syllogism. So from 6 and 8, we had applied P implies T, T implies U, you get P implies U. That is step 6 and 8 and law of syllogism. Okay, step 6 and 8 and law of syllogism. Still now we didn't reach the conclusion not P. Okay, is it clear? Now I will write this step once again after clearing the frame. The 9th step I will write it once again. So the 9th step what we got was P implies U, isn't it? That we got from step 6 and 8. Step 6 and 8 by applying law of syllogism. Okay, that was our 9th step. Then in the 10th step, I'm going to take the last premise that is not you. Okay, this is a premise that is given. That was the 5th premise that was given. Now, from which law can I apply to implies you and not you? To 9 and 10. Which law can you apply to 9 and 10? Anyone? Which law can you apply to 9 and 10? Anyone? P implies you and not you. P implies you and not you. Which law can you apply to step 9 and 10? P implies you and the next argument is not you. Very good, Agarsh. Modus tollens, isn't it? P implies you and not you. For that, what is the conclusion of modus tollens? According to modus tollens, P implies you and not you gives what? What is the conclusion of modus tollens? If there are two arguments of the form P implies you and not you, then what can you conclude? Not P. Very good. Very good. So from step 9 and 10, we can apply step 9 and 10 and modus tollens. We have reached the conclusion not P. So the conclusion that we need to reach was not P. So from all these given, from the given set of arguments, we had reached the conclusion not P by applying the rules, isn't it? The rules that we had studied, which means that the given argument is a valid argument. That is, P implies Q and R implies S and T or not S and not P or U and not U implies not P. So that is a valid argument. The given set of premises, when we take the conjunction of all the premises, you will get the conclusion not P. So that is a valid argument. Is it clear? Is it clear? So likewise, you have to take, given a set of arguments, we have to apply the rules and we have to reach the conclusion. That is what is done in using these rules in logical inferences. By applying the rules, we have to reach the conclusion. Is it clear? Any doubt? Any doubt? If you have any doubt, just ask. Okay. So just I'm summarizing the rules. I think I had told the rules, three rules again, but let us see the rules once again. So modus, we had studied modus ponens, then modus tollens, and a law of syllogism, isn't it? We had studied three rules, and according to modus ponens, P implies Q and P gives Q. And according to modus tollens, P implies Q. If we have two premises or two statements, two arguments, P implies Q, and another statement not Q, it concludes, you can take the conclusion not P. Okay, this is what we used in our last step. Then according to law of syllogism, P implies Q and Q implies T, you can conclude P implies T. Okay, these are the three laws which we had studied now. Is it clear? So if you have in two steps, you have implications or propositions of this form, you can conclude this. If you have propositions in this form, premises in this form, or premises or you have whatever formula you have derived is in this form, you can conclude this. And if it is in this form, you can conclude this. Okay, these are the three rules that we had studied now. And this is syllogism. Okay, syllogism. So mostly application will be based on these three rules. So you have to study the rules well. There are around 12 rules. Again, we have to go from around 9 more rules. So let us move on to the fourth rule. Okay, the fourth rule of inference, and that is the rule of conjunction. Rule of conjunction. This is the fourth rule, rule of conjunction. See, I will ask you to submit your notebooks. I should have all these notes submitted, completed in your notebook at that time. Okay. Is it clear? I will ask you to submit your notebook. So as I write through, you will also have to write with me. Don't just sit and listen. Okay. Is it clear? Can you hear me? So now let us move on to this next rule. The rule of conjunction. So this rule of conjunction, it is, now write down, below that you can write down, it is given by the logical implication. Under rule of conjunction you write, it is given by the logical implication, P and Q implies P and Q. So if we have two premises P, another premise Q, then you can conclude P and Q. This is the tabular form. Okay, tabular form. So if you have two statements, two arguments, one argument is P, another is Q, then you can conclude P and Q. Okay, so that this is the implication form, this is the tabular form. So in tabular form, you can write it as PQ, therefore P and Q. Did you write down? First sentence is, it is given by the logical implication, and you have to write this logical implication form. And below that you have to write in tabular form. In tabular form, you can write it as PQ, therefore P and Q. This is the rule of conjunction. Is it clear? Is it clear? Did you write the rule of conjunction? Did you write down the rule of conjunction? Fatima PK. Fatima PK. Okay, Adarsh. Okay, Anurag. What about Fatima PK? Did you write down the rule of conjunction?
Yes, ma'am.
So what is that rule? What is that rule?
P and Q implies P and
Okay. Okay, P, if you have two arguments P and another argument Q, then P and Q implies P and Q. Okay, that is of the logical implication form. Then in tabular form, you have to write the first premise, then the second premise or the second argument, P first, then Q, and below that you have to write the conclusion P and Q. Now let us move on to the next rule. We will solve the questions at the end. After studying certain rules, we will study its applications. Okay. So let us go through some of the rules. So this was the fourth rule. Then next, fifth rule, rule 5. It is called rule of disjunctive syllogism. Rule of disjunctive syllogism. Rule of disjunctive syllogism. So the fourth rule was rule of conjunction. The fifth rule is rule of disjunctive. We had studied the rule of syllogism or hypothetical syllogism. This rule is for disjunction only. Rule of disjunctive syllogism. So write down. This rule is given by the logical implication. We can write it in two forms. Okay, all rules can be written in two forms. One is in the logical implication form and another is the tabular form. So first we are going to write the logical implication form. So this rule is given by the logical implication. Write that sentence and then write this. P or Q and not P implies Q. This is the rule of disjunctive syllogism. That is P or Q and not P implies Q. Okay, this is disjunctive syllogism. So how will you write it in tabular form? This is in logical implication form. Can you write it in tabular form by yourself? In tabular form, how can you write in tabular form? Those separated by conjunctions are arguments. Okay, so this is P1, this is P2, and this is our conclusion C. So in tabular form, we can write it as P or Q, our first argument. Then second argument is not P, and our conclusion is therefore Q. Okay, P or Q, not P, implies Q. So if you have, while proving statements, if you have statements in this form, then you can write Q. From these two steps, you can conclude Q. Okay, just like we had proved earlier, modus ponens, tolerance, and all step by step. If you have two steps in this form, then you can conclude Q. And you should write the name of the law, that is the rule of disjunctive syllogism. So this form you have to study, P or Q implies Q. So if you remember this, you study this, or if you remember the tabular form, just study the tabular form, and then if you are asked to write the implication form, convert it to this form. P or Q and not Q, the whole thing implies Q. Okay, this is logical rule of disjunction, disjunctive syllogism. Okay, so next period is also my period. I think it is break now till 9:40, isn't it? Okay, so your attendance, and then you can go for a break and come back by 9:40. Okay, the next period is also my period. Say your attendance.
1.
2. Number 2 absent.
2. No, 2 present.
Okay, 3.
3.
Next. 4.
4.
Okay, next speed.
5.
Speed of
6.
7. 8.
9, 10,
11.
12,
13.
14.
15.
Okay, 15. Next 16.
16.
18.
19. 20.
21. Absent. Ashwati VK. Then 22.
22.
23. 24. Absent. Devika KT.
25.
26. Fatima Misra. Okay, 26 then. Next. 28. Absent. 29. Okay, next.
31.
Next.
32,
Next.
33.
Next. Next.
34.
Next.
35.
Next.
36.
Next.
37.
Next.
38.
Next.
39.
39.
39.
Next. Number 40. Sahal. Absent. 41.
41.
Next.
42.
43.
44.
45. Nivedita. Absent.
46.
47.
48.
49. Sahila. 50.
50.
51. 51 absent. Sahana. Shahana. Sharon.
54. 53.
54. 55.
56. Saurav.
56.
Absent.
57.
Okay, Saurav. 58.
59.
60. Okay, 61. 62.
62.
63.
Okay. So come back by 9:40. Okay. Or you need an exit. You can just leave and come back.